My German is a bit rusty. My Swiss is a bit rusty, so we'll do English, as Stefan knows his English quite well. Let me start off saying good morning. Okay, guten Morgens, yeah. Thank you for being here, it's early. I hope you enjoyed day one. We're gonna make an awesome day two. And it's really my honor to be here with Stefan and present to you the session called Space Shuttle Launch Exploring Other Galaxies with Operations Manager. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna look into some of the other worlds, if you will, than our standard world, our Windows world, and this galaxy. But before we do that, let me give the introductions to Stefan.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So I would like to introduce Martin. Martin has been an MVP for 6 years now, right, Martin?
7, yeah.
Okay, 7 years. Sorry about that. He is also a managing consultant at Innovative. He is CEO of OpsLogic. He is also a technical speaker at TechEd, Tech Days, MMS, SCU, System Center Universe in the US. Now it's System Center Universe at DAC.
Europe, yeah.
He also contributed to many books. And also he is a co-founder of SystemCenterCentral.com. And he's also adding stuff to authoringfriday.com. And recently he started also a great series on Wednesday.
Whiteboardwednesday.com.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Thank you. And besides that, he's just a great guy.
Well, thank you, Stefan. Enough with the pleasantries, though, because this is way too much, way too much. We're returning the favor there. Thank you, Kevin. No, it's really my pleasure to be with Stefan here. Who knows Stefan? Who reads Stefan's blog? Okay, the other people can leave. Thank you. No, no, Stefan has an awesome blog. He blogs on pretty much everything, Operations Manager, all the new stuff, into detail, lengthy blog. And he'll be showing some of the coolness today in his demos. So be excited to see that. If you're on Twitter, and probably most of you are, his handle is SCOMFAQ, and that's actually the same name of his blog, so blog.scomfaq.ch. So I'd certainly recommend looking that up, and if it were up to me, Stefan would be on the next conferences as well. I said we should actually start nominating him for all his community work, so good to be here with Stefan. And he's a cloud architect for ITnetics, so cool that you guys are doing this conference, so great to be here be with you. So let's have a look at the agenda. We'll first have a quick look into Operations Manager R2, some of the things that are new, and I know Kevin did a session about it, so we're gonna go easy on this, just give him some highlights. But it's an introduction to the sections afterwards on the things we'll show with application performance monitoring that Stefan will actually show you as a cool demo. We're gonna look at cross-platform, meaning gonna look at Linux, Unix, OS monitoring, application monitoring, Oracle monitoring, some of the database backends and what to do there and what to don't do, and then System Center Advisor. So that's one of the key new things, of course, and then Stefan will actually dive into the System Center Advisor bit, and we'll wrap it up at the end. And for those of you that are that have questions on APM, on cross-plat, anything that you can throw at us, go ahead. We're here to try and answer your questions, and we have a good group sitting here in the front as well. So if we can't answer it, we'll just swing it to them for the answers. So thank you there. So the scenario we have today is we're running a company, an enterprise company that is providing 24/7 services, and they have a lot of non-Microsoft products. So they have servers running the Linux OS, the Unix OS. They have a Java application server. I can't help it as well, but they do. They have a homemade Java application, and we're going to actually look into that application and see what that does and when it fails, etc. They have an Oracle backend, and we want to do comprehensive monitoring of all these components together, service-oriented, see how it all relates together, and every component we want to provide deep technical monitoring. I want to do it proactively, so don't wait until it fails for us to show an alert. We want to show proactive monitoring with System Center. So this is a scenario, and at the end of the session we'll come back and see if we met the requirements through System Center. So cool. Could you tell us a bit more about the R2 investment, Stefan?
Yes, of course. There were not that many new investments in SCOM 2012 R2, but there are some, so I list them up here. So Microsoft invests in the, we can divide it into infrastructure part and DevOps part. So we have a new management pack for Virtual Machine Manager. It's now everything, it's focused on the cloud and about the fabric monitoring. So we got some new dashboards about the cloud health state. You are able to drill down into each component of the fabric. So you will see host, storage pools, network nodes, and so on. You also got a updated diagram view. So you can make a root cause analysis deeper on the virtual machine manager side. Then, of course, there is an improved Azure management pack. It's easier to deploy, as we have seen yesterday on the session with Martin and Cameron. You can have multiple subscriptions. You also are able to monitor storage accounts, virtual machines, and, of course, a very important certificate.
Certificates, yeah.
It's also very important.
Yeah.
And I think a great thing there is also you have a distributed application template where you can add components from Windows Azure and also on-premises components together and build so your hybrid service. You can monitor your hybrid service in a distributed application. I think that's great.
That's great, yeah.
On the cross-platform side, Microsoft has its Cloud Vision, and therefore they needed to update the cross-platform agent to the OMI, Open Management Infrastructure. They needed a new abstraction layer. So before it was based on Open Pegasus, and it has some advantages. It has a smaller footprint, and I think Martin is going to talk a bit more about that. And also there is Microsoft Monitoring Agent in a preview version. It's an extended agent, operations manager agent, which you can use to monitor application health, infrastructure health. You can collect performance data, event logs, and also traces. And those traces you can analyze in Visual Studio.
Yeah.
So that's something that's, I think it has to do with the Cloud Vision Microsoft has.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and on the DevOps side, we have an enhanced TFS integration, Team Foundation Server. So as you know, you can send, if you enable synchronization between TFS and Operation Manager, you are able to send alerts to the developer. So the Team Foundation Server will create the work item, and the workflow keeps tracks of the changes from the developer. And the news there is you got updated alerts in SCOM, so you got new fields. It's a Team Foundation Server work item ID and Team Foundation Server work item owner. So those are read-only fields to prevent any accidental changes of those items. And also you are able to send IntelliTrace from .NET APM alerts to TFS. And those are smaller parts. I think the most interesting parts is System Center Advisor. It's now available as an attached service in SCOM 2012 R2. It was before available for SCOM 2012 SP1, but now everything is integrated. And also there is Java Application Performance Monitoring, Java APM.
Very cool.
So let's stay on the Java APM management pack. First, what is Java APM?
And maybe before we ask that, who's using .NET APM monitoring at the moment? Oh, that's only the front row, it seems. Wow.
Okay.
We have a lot to tell there, that's for sure. Yeah,
yeah, of course. So we have in SCOM 2012, Microsoft integrated AVI code into SCOM, and then we were able to monitor .NET applications for performance and exception events. So we also got a new console, the System the Diagnostics and Advisor console. And there we could dive very deep into the code. For example, if we got some exception, we could see the binaries where the exception on which line the error occurred. Or if we had some performance issues, we could see which SQL query was slow and so on. That was on the .NET APM side. So on the cross-platform side, there is not much like this for application monitoring. We have, of course, we can monitor a Linux server, and then on the layer on top, we can monitor application servers. That's cool. We can enable deep monitoring, so we get information about the class loader or some heap size information. So, okay, that's cool, but there is nothing like if you have an own application and we would like to check if there is some exception occurring or if we have a performance issue. We don't have it yet. So Microsoft decided, okay, we are going to do something about that, and they created the Java APM management pack. So that's it's available right now at the for a preview version. So let's see which platforms are supported. So we have Windows and Linux on the as an operating system. And on the Linux side, you have Ubuntu, Red Hat, CentOS, Oracle Enterprise, Linux. I think there will be more support on those systems. And of course, the Windows side, most versions are supported. And then on top of it, we have Tomcat in the version 5, 6, and 7 for application server. And then on top of it, there are technology support like generic servlets and Axis 2 web service and Struts 2 web frameworks.
So if I have Operations Manager R2, I downloaded the preview version. How would I get Java APM? Is that something that's on the media or on the management server already?
No, actually not. So what you would have to do, so there are some, you would have to download the management pack, of course. And then there is another part, there's an agent you need to install. Okay. So there are two parts you need to configure.
And you download them from the Microsoft website?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. If you ping it, then you will find it.
Okay, and if I Google it?
I'm not sure.
Oh, you won't find it. We'll just Bing, right? Good.
Okay, so how do we configure it? First, we need the infrastructure layer. So we are going and deploy an agent and deploy also the cross-platform management packs. And then we deploy the JE management packs to monitor the application server. And then we are going and enable deep monitoring for that. That gives us the channel into the application, the application server. Mm-hmm. So we are able to communicate with it. So you need that in order to proceed with the Java APM management pack. So the next step, you import the Java APM management pack, and you also configure a Java APM agent. I wrote on my blog a walkthrough. So on blog.scomfaq.ch, if you want to reproduce it, you can see there a step-by-step guide, basically.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
Okay. So how does it work? We know what we need to do to enable it, but actually what is going behind the scenes. So as we see, we have a cross-platform management pack and agent deployed to the Linux server. Then we have the JE management pack deployed. And as I said before, it builds basically a channel into the Linux server and the JE application server. And then we need to deploy the Java APM management pack and also the Java APM agent. So when you use the JE management pack, then Microsoft wrote the component, the beanspine component, which uses JMX to query the mbean store. So that's basically, it queries the mbean store. It's, if you translate it to the Windows world, in there you have objects, like CPU memory, and you have properties. And those properties are like performance counters in the Windows world. And we are pulling this information out from the JEMPs. What now this Java APM does, it has the agent attached, and when the Tomcat server loads, it also loads that agent, and it will update the mbean store and update also the mbeans and its properties. And then we should be able to get some information out of it.
Quick question, how would I deploy that Java APM agent? What would be a method to get the agent on that box?
Well, right now it's you just need to copy files on the application server, and then you actually have to edit some file to preload it when the application server starts. I hope Microsoft will change it, so yeah, maybe you will run a task and then it will configure it and deploy it itself. Now you have to go and edit, use VI and edit the files.
Okay, yeah.
But
good.
as I said, it's a preview edition, it's not final yet. It will be released, I don't know when. So then let's see how it looks like in a demo. Okay. I deployed the Tomcat server. I enabled deep monitoring. You see here, I have the class loader information, also heap memory.
Does everybody know how to enable deep monitoring? Yeah? I see one, like Kevin only said. Okay. Could you tell us how you would enable deep monitoring?
You have to run a task, actually. You have to deploy the BeanSpy component and then run a task. And this will enable then deep monitoring.
Okay,
actually.
so there's a task on the right-hand side in the Java
exactly,
view. Cool.
Exactly. Okay, we got that. And as we can see over here, I also have an application deployed called First. And this company has written this, and it uses that for calculating the interest. So it's not a very fancy one, but it works, at least sometimes. So I have an amount of 100, interest rate of 10, and then I can run it, I get an interest of 10. But some users are complaining, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, an exception occurs, and until now we are not able to tell why or what happened and so on. And that's why we enabled Java APM, of course. So if I go there and then, whoa, I get an error there and say, okay, now let's see what we have here in the console. So I'm monitoring this application, and if I open the Health Explorer, go like that, then Java APM will show you or will add some monitors.
You might want to resize the window a bit so we see the left-hand side. So cool. Yeah, perfect.
It's better like that. Those monitors are added here. Those are disabled per default. Yeah, so that means you have to enable them because every customer has other requirements. So you have other thresholds, and so Microsoft decided not to enable it. So you got average response time, exception events per second, performance events per second, and also requests per second, lower limit and the upper limit. So if you want to get notified if there are less traffic or more traffic, you will get some alerts about it. That's important to understand. And if you go and click the performance view of this application, we also will see some collection rules. They collecting data, and then you can display it here in the performance. Right now we see there's some traffic going on, so the user are using my interest application, and our goal is to figure out why are they complaining, why are they not happy with my super fancy application. So I decide now, okay, I will use the advisor console. As we know, we have in .NET APM this advisor console, and It is the same you can use also for Java APM. So I
And
will...
when you say advisor, it's not System Center Advisor, right?
No, that's exactly. It's not System Center Advisor. The console is named Advisor. So it's basically, it provides you reports.
Okay.
Okay? And then I look for a report and say, okay, application failure analysis sounds great for me. And then I can say, okay, which date I want to look for and status and so on. And then I say, okay, cool, there is my application first. Maybe I should look there. I will see there some errors. It's gathering information, and then we get a nice chart here about some detailed information. We also see over here the event count. We see, okay, there were 4 event counts. Okay, and some breakdown failures over here by resources group, and so on. Okay, then I said, okay, looks good. It seems to be there is a failure happen. Let's click on that one and see. Oh, okay, I have 4 application failures. They are similar. And I click on that one, and then it will, the diagnostic console will open. Okay, and here we get a deep dive, actually, on the exception message code, and also here about assembly. And we can now tell, okay, on the assembly, there happened some floating decimal. On this assembly, we had here some, let's see, input string 250 thrown. Okay, and up here, for input string, okay, input string, okay, 250, but it doesn't look like a...
That's not a 0.
No,
What
it
is
looks like a character. So that must be the error if I add the character into an integer field, so it will throw an error. I also can then move to the tabs and see, okay, do I have any similar events like that? I get a whole list of it.
I think the Swiss users are actually not putting in a lot of numbers, but other things, it seems.
Yeah, exactly. Or are there any related events? Also, one great thing about that is it will collect some data for a period of 15 minutes before, or it's collecting information and it displays the last 15 minutes before the error occurs. So you can display it here.
That's handy, so I could have a look what the processor time was when the failure occurred, what the process, the memory was, etc.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can apply, and then you see what this is all about down here in this chart. Okay, and you get a whole lot of information here, as you can see. A lot of performance counts. Okay, so if I want to get some more details about the application, then I click on the source. Another window will open, and I can run a trend report on the performance counters which I collected from the application. I say apply, and then also I get here more detailed information about it. Yeah, and as we saw before, okay, must be something with the input string. What do you think, Martin?
I think it's a cool solution. I think it's going to help our developers change the application and change the validation on that field and make sure that we can't input another character anymore.
So we could, for example, send it to TFS.
Yeah, send this bug over to TFS.
Okay.
Cool. Well, that was a nice demo. Thank you, Stefan. So we saw that Stefan showed us the Java APM stuff and how to really deep dive into a problem and close the loop, sending it back to the developer and making sure we have a new release where this can't happen. And it's cool to see that Microsoft is investing in this cross-platform solution, right? That it's not for .NET only. All the major Java platforms are there. So absolutely cool. And if you have Java today, you should definitely try it out. Now that's the application layer. But there are layers associated with that, right? The operating system itself, the database backend, for instance, where we store all these queries or the interest rates. So we also want to have a look into how would we monitor that from System Center Operations Manager 2012 R2. So if we look at the Linux OS monitoring, we get more or less the same deal as we do on the Windows side. So we see the processor, we see memory, we see disk, we see all the core operating system values like health, performance monitoring. We also have, if you import the management packs, some new management pack templates. So if I want to monitor for a certain process in memory or other things, I can actually use the management pack templates. And there are management packs for specific version of Linux, Unix, and they're all on the image, on the media, on the download media, so you can import those management packs and start adding support for your Linux and Unix version. It also brings you reports, so we can do the same types of reports on the Linux and Unix computers. We have the centralized agent admin through the UI and through a PowerShell. There are some diagnostics and recoveries we get through the knowledge articles that are associated with the different monitors and tasks that you can execute when you get an alert to see what are currently the processes in memory and do a deep dive and diagnostics on that system. And one of the things we also support, apart from availability and performance monitoring, is the audit collection services. And is anybody using ACS today with Operations Manager? Kevin, yes, thank you. So I guess it's one of those things that's, to me, a golden nugget in Operations Manager, but it's underused. Not a lot of people use it. A lot of companies look at RSA Envision, Symantec ESM, all these audit collection systems, if you will. Well, there is a system in Operations Manager today, and it's been there even since 2007, the initial release. It was called Microsoft Audit Collection Services, MAX, at the time, and it was ported over to Operations Manager. We could collect all the security events with the Windows servers, centralize them, do reporting on top of that, and start mapping them to our audit controls. But that is available also to Unix and Linux. So if you want to monitor the root logins, other system logins, changes to sensitive files, etc., you can use the audit collection service the same way you would do on the Windows system and have centralized reporting for auditing. And it's a cool solution, and the same solution extends through a syslog gateway if you have VMware hosts or even like switches, routers, etc. So it's a comprehensive auditing solution. We're not going to demo it today, but if you're interested, you should definitely try it out. Now, one of the questions I get a lot is, what are the operating systems we actually support? And it's not only Operations Manager, right? It's also about Configuration Manager now being able to do Unix, Linux, and even Mac OS X. About endpoint protection, actually providing antivirus and anti-malware for these other systems. Virtual Machine Manager, also Hyper-V with a support list for the OSs running in the virtual machines. And of course, therefore, also Azure Infrastructure as a Service. And you can see with the table on screen what the major brands, the major flavors are we support. So Red Hat, SUSE, CentOS, etc. That doesn't mean that if it's another flavor, it won't work. There's a likelihood it will work. But there are a few things associated. You might not have support because it's not on the support list. And you might need to change or write yourself an MP so the discovery actually succeeds and so that you can add the system. So it's probably better to just stick with the support list. And for the major brands, so like Red Hat and SUSE, there are actually support agreements between Microsoft and those companies so that when you have a question about, let's say, the Operations Manager agent not deploying on top of that operating system, you can just call up Microsoft and they will engage their friends at the other companies to make sure we deliver a full support cycle, a few not to be in between both parties. So it's actually cool, and you see from the matrix it's quite comprehensive, so Unix, Linux, all the way up to the other products. And I guess for the Unix flavors, there's not really any plans for endpoint protection or Virtual Machine Manager. So that's cool, and we'll look at the demo on how to discover these. So what you get built in, as I said, things like CPU, processor, monitoring, memory, of course, disk space, etc. The network, of course, the Ethernet adapters, processes in memory, and of course one of the things we should consider for Unix, Linux is to scavenge some of these log files, look at patterns and see if any failures are occurring for applications running on top of these Unix and Linux boxes. So looking at the Linux Unix architecture overview, on the left-hand side you'd have an Operations Manager management server we all know and love, We have the 3 services there. There's config service, SDK, health service, or whatever it's called today, monitoring agent, etc. We've had 5 iterations, I guess, of that name. We have the management packs lighting up the several things we need to discover, need to monitor. And on the right-hand side, we have a Unix or Linux computer with an operations manager agent. Now, if you're looking today and using Unix, Linux monitoring today, it's Open Pegasus, which also is an open standard. Microsoft, like you said, is switching to OMI, and we'll talk about that in a second, and also what it means to upgrades and going from this version to R2. But one of the key facts to know is that Microsoft in the last 3 years was actually one of the top 5 contributors to open source programs. So whether it's this agent or other standards or standards bodies, Microsoft is quite engaged in Unix, Linux, and that's what you see today in Operations Manager. Now, if we're deploying an agent, doing the initial discovery, it will actually use SSH to connect into that box. And yes, you could use either a username password like root or an underprivileged account and use sudo. But you could also use SSH keys if you're using SSH keys to validate. It will then deploy the agent, run the initial discovery scripts. If it's already a box that's maintained pre-R2, it will upgrade the agent from Open Pegasus to the OMI version without any assistance on your side. And then it uses the WinRM, the WSMan requests to talk to this OMI stack, give it commands, query for data, for health state, etc. And so the request response goes through another channel, through the WSMan channel. That would actually be a good trivia question for this afternoon. Does anybody know the port number we're using for this one? The OM guy should know.
Which one?
1270, yeah. Cameron. I don't have any book or stuff, but I'll hug you later. So what was 1270 for the old timers here on Operations Manager? The old Ops Manager port. Before 2007, when we switched to 5723, we actually had the 1270. So you could say the Unix Linux boxes are actually using the old port to communicate back to the managed server. It's one of those things that, just 7 years in the business, it's a funny thing, I guess, but it's only us two, so cool. So going from Open Pegasus to OMI is actually a big thing. You won't notice it. It won't change how we do Unix and Linux monitoring. But OMI is a standard that reaches far further than just the Unix Linux operating system. If you look, for instance, at switches, and Damien will probably know this, is that with Virtual Machine Manager, the new versions will be more like a fabric manager, being able to also manage the networking side of things. Physical switches, we can manage in the upcoming version with R2. There's a vendor, for instance, called Arista, that will allow us to manage. How do we manage those switches? Through OMI. It's the same standard we use to talk to these devices. So you'll see that we standardize throughout anything non-Microsoft, if you will, with the OMI standard. And that's the same case we're doing here with Operations Manager. Now the upgrades is seamless, like I said. You'll see that the R2 agent will just replace the Open Pegasus agent. It will retain the same path, play some other files, etc. Settings are maintained. That's a big thing, of course. So you don't want to lose any settings or authentication pieces. It will depend, I guess, on the management packs that you're using, whether or not they then will keep working, because the management packs you get from Microsoft, so the Unix Linux ones on SUSE, Red Hat, etc., they'll convert for you, they'll work. But what if you have third-party products, you consider seeing if they're OMI capable. There are some vendors out there, and if you create your own management pack, same thing, start learning OMI, start considering if your monitors and discoveries use Open Pegasus today, because you need to change them to OMI for them to keep working. Now we talked about the templates. So if we want to do any log file monitoring, we can use the MP templates in the authoring pane of Operations Manager to use a wizard to say, I want to monitor this log file. I'll add, for instance, a regular expression, want to match a certain word, certain content, and then target a single computer, maybe a group of computers, all my SUSE Linux boxes, and start monitoring the log file, and I'll get an alert based on that. Same goes for service. Should probably use the word daemon, where we can see if a certain process in memory is still working and still active, or that we need to even restart those. Again, target a single computer, multiple, based on names, regular expressions with filters again, etc. And we can also run command lines. Maybe you have a script today you want to run. I showed a demo at SCU January in Dallas. Where were we? In Dallas early this year, where I would be running a script on the box to assess some health, capture the output, and based on that raise an alert. And it's actually one of those golden nuggets where Stefan has it on his blog. So if you want to learn about this and not just see a slide but try it out yourself, go to his blog because you have an awesome article again into detail on how to do this.
Thank you, Martin.
And again, partner pitch here. If you want to monitor other items on those boxes and you might not have a management pack today or a script, you could also consider looking at some management packs to monitor those. So let's go into doing a demo. Here we are. So I'm back into the environment, and again, this is Operations Manager 2012 R2 preview. So things might change a bit until RTM, but I'm thinking not too much. We actually have a box called PCI Workload 3, which is a SUSE box. So if I SSH into that, go root, trying to remember my password. And this time it works because I'm not on Stefan's German type keyboard, which I did today and I failed on the password. You actually see the system is running fine. If I look at the current performance monitor, if you will, on Linux top, you'll see CPU, memory, processors, everything's fine. If I do a list of processes and filter on SCX, which is System Center Cross-Platform acronym, then you see it's actually running. Here we go. There's an OMI server with an ID of 1543. That's telling me that we'll actually have the agent already deployed on this. And we should actually be able to see it because I prepared this ahead of time. If I go to Unix Linux computers, I go to SUSE diagram, then there it is. PCI workload 3. It's discovered, and if I go drill down a bit, you see the heartbeat, and it depends on the management pack I need to load and the discovery that needs to happen. I added this morning, that you'd see processor, disk, etc. So this is working fine, and the SUSE Linux box is actually added. Now the scenario here is, there's another box, and I'll stop this session, go into the Oracle one, root, and this is actually an Oracle Linux, which is one of the new supported flavors of Linux in SP1 and onwards. A lot of Oracle folks love to run Oracle Linux behind the scenes, which is actually Red Hat, but with slightly differences. Again, this is just running fine. If I do a process list, you'll see it's actually running Oracle on top of it on Linux, so DBAs are happy and doing the thing. And now we want to monitor this. So we want to add this to Operations Manager, start monitoring the backend of that interest calculation app, which was so comprehensive it needed an Oracle backend. Let's go to administration, hit up the discovery wizard. This is all good, never changed since 2007. We can add Unix Linux computers. I'll say add. Of course, the name PCI Oracle 1.pci.cloud. Set the credentials, and again, you can use either an SSH key, a username, password. If you're running Unix Linux in a VM on Windows Azure Infrastructure as a Service, so let's say SUSE on Azure, you don't get a root account, you only get a underprivileged account and need to use sudo to gain high privileges. You would actually use this box to say this account won't have privileged access, but I can use the elevation to get back into a privileged state. In my case, I'm just using the privileged account, root, okay, save, and need to target a resource pool. And probably those of you who watched some of the OM sessions yesterday the resource pool is where it's a grouping of management servers, in essence, that will be used for this task. I didn't create a separate pool, so it's the all management servers resource pool. We'll do the discovery, so it's SSH into the box, try and authenticate itself, try and see if it's a supported system, installs the agent, etc. And we actually see that it's an unsupported version. It's too new. It's Oracle Linux 6.4, the newest, the greatest. I'm not sure, I just took the latest version. And 6.4 is not on the preview list yet. So, but how would we monitor the Oracle backend on that then? Well,
Are we
that's
now
actually
in trouble, Martin?
I guess a bit. We could deinstall it and install it on SUSE, but I'm not sure if the DBAs will like it.
I'm not sure.
There might be another option. We could go third party, of course, and just add the Oracle database instance on top of that OS without any agent support, any agent dependency. So what I did is I loaded our management pack for the Oracle. What I'll do is I'll just input the Oracle information, the instance name. Again, here we can just use a username password. And what I would do, if I click instance, which I already did, it will connect through the Oracle data channel to the same Oracle backend. And then if you look at the Oracle diagram view, we actually see that we discovered the Oracle instance on top of this PCI Oracle 1, even without an agent installed on this box. So you'll see that we can drill down, see version 11 state, expand a little more.
So did I get that one right, Martin, that it is some sort version independent?
It's version independent, agent independent, and it uses the Oracle data channel, so that's really cool.
That sounds great. It's
Perfect.
a must-have.
And then, so one of the cool things, of course, is we'll get through that Oracle data channel all the information. So, for instance, we can look at the agent or the instance, I'm sorry. And today it's all healthy, but when I was preparing for this demo yesterday, I saw that the percentage data dictionary hit ratio, which is one of the key metrics in Oracle, was actually turning red. So we see that through the Oracle data channel. For instance, here you see that this monitor will just pick up values and based on certain thresholds will tell you whether or not a problem is occurring. But luckily everything's fine at the moment. Now these are all the components. So I can look at backup state, I can look at things like table spaces, data files. Now, if I go to the Oracle server itself, there's a database on top of that. And it's not used only for the interest calculation, but also for an order system. And you see there's actually an orders table on top of this Oracle instance. And if I look at the data in there, it has all the order numbers, and there's also a column an error, and it has one that says, yes, there's an error with order number 34098. So this would actually be something I'd like to monitor, right? I'd like to see in the database if there's an error record that's failing, and I want to like look at it and solve it.
You mean you want to run a query on that?
Yeah, I could create a query on that indeed, and actually look at why this is failing, right?
Yeah, that would be great.
So what I'll do, I'll go to the Operations Manager console, to the authoring pane, and you see a view template here. So I might want to raise an alert, I might want to collect some performance, a two-state monitor, etc. In this case, I just want to have alert. If an order gets stuck, error is yes, I just want to have a alert. So I start up the monitoring wizard, say alert rule, hit next, and say alert me on blocked errors, and of course just use a certain management pack we want to store this in. I can actually create a query, and what I'll do is I'll say select count, so I'll count the number of records from this orders database where the error column is like yes. So it will count the yes in the order column, and then I'll say this is the column we need to watch. On the instance, let's do it every 5 minutes. And I want to say if it's equal to 1. So if we count this and it's equal to 1, and of course we can create other queries, just a sample, one of the greater than, higher than, shorter than, etc. So if there's an order yes, then I want to let you know order blocked. Call 911, or if in Europe, call 112. Cool. And then I hit create, and actually I did that ahead of time, alert on blocked orders in Oracle. And it will show up as a monitor on top of this Oracle instance. So the Oracle instance will turn red, the alert will actually show, and we can use it as part of our service-oriented monitoring.
So there are just those 4 or 5 easy steps, and that's it?
That's it, and even if you want to do performance, if there's a counter in a database you want to monitor, this would be the easy steps to get that.
Excellent.
Cool, well, we've seen things that we can monitor today, and when it's failing, we get an alert. How can we be proactive? How would we do this proactively?
Oh, well, I have an idea about that. Microsoft released System Center Advisor. And it's not working right now.
I'll help you.
And I'm sure you already heard about System Center Advisor, and now I would like to explain what is System Center Advisor. So you need to understand it's a cloud health assessment web service. So it's a service that it is in the cloud, and you can use it with or without SCOM. And there are sometimes confusion about it. It is not a real-time monitoring thing. It's just kind of a best practice analyzer. It will analyze your infrastructure for some issues there are. So the System Center Advisor has a rule. You can them divide into missing patches rule, misconfiguration, and unsupported scenarios. For example, if you run a product on an unsupported SQL server, you will receive an alert and saying, hey, this version is not supported. And the great thing about this, those are rules which are doing this job. And also System Center Advisor is based on the management pack technology. It will generate an alert, and for each alert you get, you also have a knowledge base article. It will tell you what is the problem and how to solve it. And it is a knowledge base article. It's not some company info as you are used to maybe from Ops Manager, and sometimes it doesn't really help. Sometimes it helps, but there you get really the solution, and that's the absolute great thing about it. So let's see how it works. What does that mean? So we have a customer data center. We have deployed, you can have the SCOM agent deployed on your servers, or you're using System Center Advisor agents, and also gateways. So the gateways are being used for the connection to the internet. So I said it's a cloud health assessment service. So you need a connection to the internet, to the Azure. So use either SCOM agent or the agent from System Center Advisor, and those will collect data from your infrastructure, from your servers. They will also collect some configuration. And this data is uploaded about twice a day per default configuration into System Center Advisor. And in System Center Advisor, the data, it's being analyzed, and then alerts are being generated in your web console. So you have an interface, it's a web console, a website, where you can log in and then see your alerts and get additional infos about your configuration. But where does this knowledge come from? So who is going to set up the rules and the brain behind the System Center Advisor? And that's the Microsoft Customer Support Service. So those are the people who get the calls and say from all their customers where they see also the top issues they have. And so they will create the rule about these top issues, add it into Advisor, and then we get the solution right back. And also the product teams are also providing data and creating those rules. So it's directly from the Microsoft people. And as you can see, the end user, he has the web interface where he can check for alerts and also for the configuration. And if the Microsoft guys add the rules into Advisor, it will be pushed down or pulled down to the data center from the customer. And it's not just a one-time thing. So the rules will be added monthly. So there will be maybe 4, 5, 6 rules every month they add, and also the workloads they support. So, exactly. So, how do you set up this System Center Advisor? As I said, you have System Center Advisor, and then you need to deploy the agents from System Center Advisor or the gateways. Sometimes you also have to configure some run-as accounts in order to get information out, for example, for Lync or so.
Okay.
And then there is another, if you have SCOM 2012, SP1, UR3, then you can download a preview setup. It's a connector, which you install in SCOM, and then you connect to System Center Advisor. So there is some more setup to do. In SCOM 2012 R2, it's running now as an attached service. So you don't have to do anything than just creating a Microsoft account. Everything is there. So you just need to configure, next, finish, and you're done. And you have a best practice analyzer in your environment.
Cool.
Sounds cool, huh?
Yeah, it sounds very cool.
So what is the advantage for having this as an attached service? So, of course, it's easy to enable. You don't need to know much. And, of course, you get the alerts right into the SCOM console. So what can you do? You can use it for notification. You can use it in your ticketing system. So that's it. It's perfectly integrated into SCOM. So there is no more doing this. It's communicating using certificates. You don't have to install any certificates or so. It's all being done by the wizard.
Okay. We should have that in OM itself. Shouldn't we agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you do that today with Operations Manager on a system that's not in the same forest, with the certificates, it's actually easier with Advisor, right?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So now the interesting part is, okay, what can I analyze with my best practice analyzer up there in the cloud and so on? So until now, we have SQL Server, we have SharePoint Server, Exchange, Lync, Windows Server, Hyper-V, and last month I think they added the Virtual Machine Manager 2012 SP1. And that's not the final table. Yeah, so there will be added more workloads, and System Center Advisor will be improved more to support more workloads and rules, of course. So there are also some concern about the data privacy, of course. As you heard, I said, okay, they upload a configuration, they load information about my infrastructure up into the Azure. And you can read it. Microsoft provides this data privacy policy. You can read it, and then you can decide if you want to use it or not.
Yeah, perfect.
I have to add one thing that, of course, it is free.
It is free.
It doesn't cost you anything, so you have to decide if you want to use it.
Yeah, we should all use it if it's free.
Oh.
So we have about 5 minutes left. Do you want to do a quick demo?
Of course, I will do it.
Cool.
Okay. So just a short demo on System Center Advisor. As I said, we have a web interface. We can log into it. Since a few weeks, we can also use organizational accounts and Microsoft accounts. Just will log in. It will load, and you can have multiple accounts can have one Microsoft account and several organizations using this account, and you can set up multiple accounts in System Center Advisor. So I just have a pre-configured System Center Universe account, and as soon as you log in, you get an overview of your alerts, which you're having, a nice chart. Very important part down here, you see how many rules Are they available for which check your?
Maybe you can name it. We just barely can see it on the screen. So 283 rules.
283
lot.
rule, yes.
Yeah.
I can go like that. No, it doesn't work. Okay. And I can click now on this chart here, drill down, and then it will go on to the alert view, which is now in the web interface. And I see, okay, I have a problem with VMM server. The SPN is not registered correctly. I have some detailed information down here on the alert, and here's a link to the knowledge base article. If I can click it there, I will get a KB, and that's for every alert there is in System Center Advisor. As I said, there are configuration uploaded to System Center Advisor, and it's running twice a day. So what System Center Advisor does, it takes a snapshot of your server, of some properties. We can see them here. You see all what is being collected. It's the value over here. And then if there is a change on your server, it will be compared to the last snapshot, and it will show you the differences. So you can go view change history.
Wow.
And then you see the attribute, you see the previous value over here. Can you see it?
Yeah.
And also the updated value. And so, for example, I can tell that this server has been moved. I have here a OU structure. And it's now sitting in the OU servers, and before it was in the container from computers. And I can say when it happened, on August 29th. So I think Marcel moved it.
So is this something, how would this integrate into the OM console? Could you show us?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So just brief, I would like to show it how it is in the console. I said it's integrated as an attached service in the SCOM console, so you get here 2 nodes. And you just have to run the wizard. Because I already configured System Center Advisor, I get a different...
So you're running this from the OM console, just input your Microsoft account, and through the integration, it knows what to set up and how to do it. It will just pick up all the settings.
Exactly.
That's it.
So here I can choose which account I want to report to.
Cool.
And then I select this SCU, click Next, and basically that's it.
That's it.
So, so you build the connection from SCOM.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have to tell System Center Advisor which server do you want to have analyzed. So you can go there.
So you can choose not to analyze all servers, but maybe only the production servers.
If you're just interested in and say, okay, I have a test server here, test SQL server, I want to see if it's according to best practice. Okay, just add the SQL server, make a search on the Windows server, or you also can add groups.
Cool.
And
how would the alert show? Would that be integrated as well? Would it be something?
It's perfectly integrated. It looks like a native alert from SCOM. So I have some over here.
Yeah.
We have seen the alert from VMM that the SPN is not registered correctly. And if we drill down here, we also have a task here. You can run it, and voila, we see the KBE from this alert.
Hilfe und Support.
Hilfe and support, yeah.
Okay, good.
And if you're interested in the configuration change, you also have a task here. It will start up the website and then redirect into the configuration menu.
Perfect. Perfectly integrated.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's start wrapping up then. Awesome demo, Stefan.
Thank you.
So let's come back to the scenario we saw at the beginning of the session. Is we have all these things running in our company, so the Linux operating system, we have the Java application server. I think we met the Linux OS, and this battery just died. the Linux OS. We got that running through SUSE. We showed that.
Yeah, perfectly. Yeah.
Java application server.
Yeah.
Showed that.
Yeah.
All the way deep into even errors and analyzing code and what have you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Homemade. So this is where Java APM can also look at the applications we create ourselves.
Of course.
The Oracle backend, check mark. Comprehensive monitoring, I think we knocked that one out of the ballpark, and then proactive through.
Of course, System Center Advisor.
Perfect. So I guess with System Center, there's a solid approach to also monitoring all the cross-platform workloads. Microsoft is investing heavily in all these technologies, like you saw with the Java APM, OMI standards, integration through Advisor. So it's a good approach to also try and see where you can use System Center for all the non-Microsoft workloads. So I guess with that, there are a few things to note. Stefan's blog, more notably on the screen, if you want to go ahead and try this out yourself. And are there any questions now about Linux, Unix, and System Center? Okay. Seems not. You were quite clear, Stefan, so that's a good sign. Well, Cameron.
Oh.
So you showed a really good query that you did out of Oracle as an example. And that's something that's really difficult to do in Ops Manager even right now for like SQL servers, where I want to know a count on something that's in excess. I know you can do that for Oracle. Is there anything that can do that for SQL yet?
Do you want to, so repeat the question. There was an awesome management pack template on querying the Oracle backend. Would we have the same thing for SQL or anything else in Oracle? Because it's quite hard today if you create your own monitor on that. You want me to answer that? You want to?
You can answer it.
Okay.
I mean,
I would say there's nothing today, and unless you're very good in Visual Studio and authoring extensions or the authoring console, it's going to be relatively easily once you have an MP authoring background. But actually, we're investigating to release the same management pack template for SQL as well. So, good pitch. Thanks. If you have any other questions, even if you don't have any questions, we'll have questions for you and for the presenters. At the end of the day, there'll be a session, Ask the Experts, product team, MVPs, community experts like Stefan. We'll have really wonderful questions to ask them, and you can bring your own questions. So come and join us at the end of the day around 3:45 or 4, I think it's in your schedule, and you can see us again. So thank you for attending, and thank you,
very much.
Stefan.